Our next speaker this morning is Honorable Jim Kitchens. He's a candidate for Mississippi Supreme Court, District 1, Place 3.
Good morning. I'm Jim Kitchens from Crystal Springs. This is the third time I've had the privilege of being on this historic platform seeking to be on the Mississippi Supreme Court. The first two times it worked, and so I'm very hopeful this time. The Central Supreme Court District, of which Neshoba County is a part, has 22 counties in it. And so it's a big job to run for it, but this is the seminal political event in the whole district, and I'm so honored to be here. My remarks today will sound familiar to you if you were here the last time I spoke at the Neshoba County Fair. Why? Why would they be familiar? Because Jim Kitchens hadn't changed very much since then. To be sure, some things have changed. For example, Mary and I have been married a few years longer, but she still doesn't want me in her kitchen. The last time I spoke to you, we had 11 grandchildren. Now, praise God, we have 13, and I think they're over this way somewhere. Let me hear it, grandchildren. We're greatly blessed that all of them live in Crystal Springs, where Mary and I live. The biggest change in Jim Kitchens, the man, is that he's lived a little longer. He's gotten a little more judicial experience, and as a result, some say he's a little wiser. He's the same old Jim Kitchens, the one that you can trust, the one you can depend on, the one who's honest, the one who's fair. He's the one who shows up for work day after day, the one who still takes his oath of office very seriously. And yes, he's a guy that carries his oath of office around in his pocket as a daily reminder of what he swore to do. That oath teaches me that I'm not supposed to care whether people before the court are rich, poor, black, white, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or Independent, and I don't care. No one has ever said that Jim Kitchens is not well qualified. No one has ever said that Jim Kitchens is not well qualified to serve on the Supreme Court. Before going to the Supreme Court, I had 41 years of trial experience in Mississippi courts. No one in this race, good, wonderful people though they are, can come close to matching that. For 9 of those years, I was a full-time district attorney. I had a large district and very little help. I had 4 counties. I tried most of the cases myself, almost all of them. And today, Jim Kitchens is the only former district attorney on the Mississippi Supreme Court. It's one thing to talk about being tough on crime, and another to do it. I've done it as the elected district attorney for 4 counties, and I'm the only one in this race who has. It's one thing to talk about being tough on crime, and another to sign your name at the bottom of a death warrant. You heard me right, a death warrant. I've done that too, and I'm the only candidate that has done that. That gave me no pleasure whatsoever. But in 2 different cases, since I've been on your state Supreme Court, it was my turn. It was my duty to sign death warrants. I did my duty. I signed those death warrants. As a result, 2 men were executed at Parchment. A very high percentage of the work we do at the Supreme Court involves criminal law. Understandably, criminal cases are very, very important to the people of Mississippi. If you don't believe it, ask one of these troopers or other officers that's standing around here. So I suggest that you learn the answers to a couple of questions before you vote. First, how many of this year's 5 candidates have been attorneys in jury trials in which people were on trial for crimes? That's a relevant question. Ask any of the candidates. That's a fair question. How many jury trials have you been in when somebody was charged with a crime on either side, prosecution or defense? The second question is, how many of the 5 candidates have handled one or more criminal appeals to the Mississippi Supreme Court? All of them, maybe? You think all the candidates have? Wrong. The answers to those questions need to come from the people that you ask the question of. But I think the answers will surprise you. One thing, though, is certain. Before asking the voters to allow him to serve on the Mississippi Supreme Court, Jim Kitchens has spent a substantial part of his life as a lawyer doing all of the above, civil and criminal trials, appeals, every bit of that. Jim Kitchens has been there and done that. By contrast, 100% of the criminal law knowledge that some of the candidates have, and I respect them all, but 100% of their criminal law knowledge is academic. It's come from a couple of classes in law school. No in-the-trenches experience. During the 41 years I practiced law in the Mississippi courts, and when I say the Mississippi courts, I mean all of them, the circuit courts, the chancery courts, the county courts, the justice courts, the municipal courts, the Court of Appeals, and the Supreme Court. Jim Kitchens handled just about every kind of legal problem that Mississippi families can have, not just criminal cases. Whether it was something simple like a deed or a will or a guardianship or an estate or something much more serious. Jim Kitchens has been there and done all of that, and I have taken care of the Mississippi families who needed me to take care of them, whether it's down in Copiah County where I live or in Jackson where I practiced law for a long time. Now, as one of the 9 justices on your state's highest court, I'm deciding the same kinds of cases I handled as a lawyer. Nobody else can say that because they haven't done it. Does experience matter in your job? Does experience matter in your job? It certainly does in mine. The first time Jim Kitchens spoke at the Neshoba County Fair, I stood in this same spot as a respected, experienced Mississippi attorney with more than 4 decades of solid experience in all of our state courts. I had been trying cases, ladies and gentlemen, since I was 24 years old. I tried 2 capital murder cases to verdict before I was 25 years old. Ask the rest of them if they've done anything like that. Today, I'm the same guy, and then some. Back when I had a boatload of lawyer experience, I asked you to let me serve you on the Supreme Court. On top of that, now I have acquired a boatload of judicial experience. No one in this race can match that. Now, I want you to remember some things. I'm about through. Nobody has said that Jim Kitchens is not well qualified to serve on the Supreme Court. Nobody has said that Jim Kitchens doesn't work hard at the Supreme Court. Nobody has said that Jim Kitchens is unable for any reason to keep on working hard at the Supreme Court. I'm going over there this afternoon. Nobody has said that Jim Kitchens has done anything crooked or dishonest or dishonorable or unfair at the Supreme Court or anywhere else. I'm in good physical and mental health. I feel good. And I come to you with a long and well-established record. of dependability, honesty, and fairness. I am ready, willing, and able to keep on serving the people of Mississippi on their highest court. I hope you'll check me out. There are a bunch of lawyers around here today. Ask them what they think of Jim Kitchens. There may be a few judges around here. Ask them too. I'm comfortable with that. It doesn't get any more serious than the Mississippi Supreme Court. People, this is serious business. This is not a popularity contest. If there's anything I've said that you don't believe, and maybe you need to look around. Look for a more dependable, more honest, more experienced, and better qualified candidate than Jim Kitchens. Good luck with that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless you and your families. Thank you.